Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the Monday Night Raw review. Monday Night Raw tonight was from the Paycom Center in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. And the show just ended, and I gotta say, Monday Night Raw tonight was a very enjoyable show. It was a good show. And tonight on Monday Night Raw, we saw Luke Gallows and Karl Anderson. They were in action. And they took on the Alpha Academy, Chad Gable and Otis in a tag team match. Dakota Kai and Io Sky end up taking on Bianca Belair and Candice LeRae, also tag team match. We had the return of Baron Corbin. Yes, Baron Corbin returned tonight, and you can see how excited I am. Yeah. But we had JBL end up returning tonight. JBL is now going to be managing Baron Corbin. So Corbin ended up returning, and he ended up taking on Dolph Ziggler. Yeah, sounds like such an exciting match it was. Then Dominik Mysterio ended up taking on AJ Styles. And in the main event, the United States Championship was on the line. Seth Rollins defend the title against Matt Riddle. Of course, Seth Rollins won the United States Championship last week on Monday Night Raw, the season premiere in Brooklyn, which I was there. So he ended up winning the title from Bobby Lashley. But overall, Monday Night Raw was a good show tonight. It was a very enjoyable show. We also had the return of Elias also. Yeah, you can see how I'm excited about that. Not really. But Monday Night Raw, the show revolved around tonight with The Miz and Dexter Lumis. And, The Miz was going to face Dexter Lumis in a match. And if Dexter Lumis won the match, he would get a WWE contract. And did the match take place? Or did WWE clickbait us into thinking we were going to get the match? And is WWE still prolonging this feud between The Miz and Dexter Lumis? Find out. But overall, like I said, Monday Night Raw was a very enjoyable show tonight. But before I get into the review, got some news that broke out today. And Monday Night Raw was being run tonight by Road Dogg. And the reason why Road Dogg was running Monday Night Raw tonight is because, sadly, Triple H tested positive for COVID. So, because of that, Road Dogg was running Monday Night Raw tonight. But hopefully Triple H, I wish him a speedy recovery. And hopefully he gets back in his position running Raw and SmackDown. So, wishing Triple H the best. Hope he feels better. But speedy recovery for Triple H. Let's jump right into the review. Monday Night Raw opened up tonight with Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley was already in the ring. He was on the mic. He was pacing around. And he called out Brock Lesnar. Now, if you know, last week on the season premiere of Monday Night Raw, Brock Lesnar ended up returning. And he took out Bobby Lashley. Of course, delivered an F5 and suplexes. Brock Lesnar ended up taking Bobby Lashley to Suplex City last week on Monday Night Raw. So Brock Lesnar then came out, of course, wearing the cowboy hat. And he came down to the ring. He was smiling. Brock Lesnar took off his hat. And the crowd there in Oklahoma City gave him a good ovation. Brock Lesnar took his time getting into the ring. Bobby Lashley was irate. And he got out of the ring and attacked Lesnar. Lesnar then grabbed Lashley and he slammed Lashley into the apron. And then he went and slammed Lashley into the ring post. Lesnar then ended up lifting Lashley up for F5 on the floor, but Lashley slid off of Lesnar. Lashley ended up sending Lesnar into the ring post. And then Lashley delivered a spear to Lesnar through the barricade. So we had, of course, officials end up coming down, referees, trainers, and superstars end up coming down to the ring to separate both Lesnar and Lashley. So they end up backing Lashley up the entrance ramp. Lashley ended up run through, and he charged around ringside and speared Lesnar onto the commentary table. And it looked like that the table was supposed to break, but the table didn't break, so it was a botch there. So both Lashley and Lesnar ended up falling to the floor. They continued brawling. Lashley ended up quickly slamming Lesnar through the table, so the table ended up breaking. So Lashley was backed up by the referees and officials and superstars. The crowd was chanting, Bobby while Lesnar was still down. He was selling him going through the table. And pretty much that was basically that. But Monday Night Raw here with Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar opened up hot. Lesnar coming out there. Lashley not wasting any time, very irate, going after Lesnar. And this sets up their match at Crown Jewel in Saudi Arabia. So it's going to be Bobby Lashley versus Brock Lesnar at Crown Jewel. The one issue that I have with this segment was the cameraman couldn't stay still when Lashley speared Lesnar on the other commentary table. And then when Lashley put Lesnar through the table, the cameraman couldn't stay still. It was so much shaky cam there. It was like it was like that. It almost got me dizzy just by watching it. So, but that's the only issue that I have with this segment. But overall, it was a very hot opener to Monday Night Raw here. It got us intrigued going into Lashley and Lesnar's match for Crown Jewel. And should be a very good match between Lashley and Lesnar in Saudi Arabia. It's not going to be a match. It's going to be a war against the both of them. So, but very good opening to Monday Night Raw here. And then we had the first match of the night. Tag team match, the OC, Luke Gallows, Karl Anderson, accompanied by AJ Styles, versus the Alpha Academy, Chad Gable and Otis. Last week on the season premiere of Monday Night Raw, Gallows and Anderson end up making their return, which was very unexpected. I did not expect just being there at Barclays Center that Gallows and Anderson were returning and that they were there. It was a shock to me. But this was a good tag team match here. It's been 2 years since Gallows and Anderson competed in a WWE ring. Of course, they were with Impact and they were on AEW. So Chad Gable started off the match with Karl Anderson. Both guys ended up locking up. Gable ended up wrenching Karl Anderson's arm. Karl Anderson turned it around. Gable ended up rolling through, ended up taking Anderson down with a headlock. Anderson ended up fighting up. He ended up whipping Chad Gable into the corner. Chad Gable ended up delivering a shoulder block to Karl Anderson. So Karl Anderson came back, delivered a hip toss to Chad Gable, and then delivered a clothesline. Karl Anderson ended up chopping Chad Gable's chest, and he sent him into the ropes and delivered a back elbow. Karl Anderson ended up bouncing Chad Gable in the corner, tagged in Gallows. Gable tagged in Otis, so it was Gallows and Otis going at it. Gallows ended up punching away at Otis. Otis then came back, ended up attacking Gallows' midsection. Otis ended up charging in at Gallows. Gallows sidestepped Otis. Gallows then ended up hitting a running elbow to Otis and punched away at him. Gallows then hit the ropes. Otis ended up stunning Gallows with a back elbow. So Otis ended up scaring Karl Anderson away. And Gallows ended up delivering a big boot to Otis. Karl Anderson then tagged back in. Karl Anderson went and attacked Otis. Karl Anderson hit the ropes. Chad Gable ended up getting a cheap shot in on Karl Anderson while Otis ended up distracting the referee. Chad Gable ended up sending Karl Anderson into the ring post. And then as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, Otis ended up tagging in. Chad Gable ended up whipping Karl Anderson into the corner. Otis ended up following up with an avalanche. Otis ended up going to the second rope to deliver a Vader bomb. Karl Anderson moved out of the way, and Gallows ended up tagging in. Gallows ended up taking out both Chad Gable and Otis. So both Anderson and Gallows ended up going for the Magic Killer on Chad Gable, and they hit it, and Otis ended up breaking up the pin. So Karl Anderson was tagged in. Chad Gable hit a Northern Lights suplex to Karl Anderson, and Karl Anderson ended up kicking out. Gallows sent Otis into the ring steps, and Gable ended up going for a moonsault, and Karl Anderson ended up getting his foot up. Gable then ended up grabbing Karl Anderson's foot, and he ended up going for the ankle lock. Anderson ended up getting out of the ankle lock and ended up hitting a spine buster to Chad Gable. Gallows tagged in, and both Gallows and Anderson ended up hitting the Magic Killer to Chad Gable. And there you go. Karl Anderson and Luke Gallows ended up winning the match. Post-match, Styles got into the ring, and he posed with Gallows and Anderson. And then the Judgment Day made their way out to the stage. Damian Priest, Finn Balor, and Dominik Mysterio, and Rhea Ripley. Finn Balor got on the mic. He ended up saying that the Too Sweet has been done before. Damian Priest got on the mic. He ended up saying that they think they accomplished something great last week. So at this point, the crowd was chanting, "You suck." Priest ended up saying that they stopped giving a damn about the crowd a long time ago. He ended up saying that the only thing the OC guaranteed last week was getting cooked by the Judgment Day. Balor ended up saying that he started this stupid little club. He made them and will break them. So Balor ended up saying that he is here to challenge the OC to a match at Crown Jewel. So Styles ended up accepting the match. So Styles ended up saying that he doesn't understand why everyone does this. This is Monday Night Raw. And that they're standing right there. And they're in the ring. He ended up saying that they can do this right here and now. Unless they have to ask their mother if, Balor and Priest or Dominik end up having to ask their mother, Rhea Ripley, for permission, which I chuckled at. So Dominik got on the mic. Oh, God. Dominik is so terrible on the mic. Last week when I was there and they cut that promo in the ring and he was on the mic, he sounded so awful on the mic. Stop giving a mic to Dominik and just put a mic back in his hand when he knows how to cut a decent, good promo and that he could be tolerable on the mic. He needs to work on his mic skills. Don't give him a mic until he improves and he knows how to deliver a good promo. So Dominik got on the mic. He ended up telling Styles to shut his mouth, unless he wants to be like his father, who ran to SmackDown, who ran to the other brand with his tail between his legs because he couldn't hang with the Judgment Day. And that took place on SmackDown on Friday. Didn't watch SmackDown, but I saw a clip. It was Rey Mysterio. He was with Triple H. Rey ended up telling Triple H that, he wants to be on SmackDown because he doesn't want to deal with, what's happening with his son. So Rey Mysterio, now part of the SmackDown brand. So Styles ended up saying that Dominik thinks he's bad because he's with the Judgment Day. He ended up calling Dominik a piece of trash who turned on his family. He ended up calling Dominik a punk, and that if he wants to run his mouth, they can do something about it. So then Styles challenged Dominik to a match, to which Rhea Ripley got on the mic, and she ended up saying that Dominik will rip Styles limb from limb. So Dominik ended up saying, "Oh, I'll do this." So Styles ended up saying that he wants to do it right now, to which Dominik was like, No. I'm not ready yet. I'm not even in my gear. He ended up saying when he is in his gear, he'll mop the floor with Styles. And he looked at his watch. He was like, in about an hour or so. So Styles ended up telling Dominik to get in his gear and stretch, and that maybe he should drink some water, because he was going to do what his father should have done to him, and that is beat the piss out of him. And that would be too sweet. So that was what Styles had to say, but we got the match later on in the night, Dominik Mysterio versus AJ Styles. But overall, the tag team match between Gallows, Anderson, and Alpha Academy was a good match. It was a very entertaining match. Gallows and Anderson's first match back in WWE in 2 years. And then we had Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins came out. He made his way down to the ring. He was channeling his Elton John, wearing all red and these glasses. So Rollins got on the mic. He welcomed the crowd to Monday Night Rollins. Rollins ended up saying that he wants to reintroduce himself. He calls himself a visionary, and he is a revolutionary. Of course, we all know, Rollins, you're a visionary and also a revolutionary. He ended up saying that he's Seth frickin' Rollins, and he's the United States champion. Rollins went on to say that for all the haters and doubters that counted him out, they can kiss his big, beautiful red behind. He ended up saying that for all the fine folks out there who have always had his back and never counted him out, they can do what they've done and sing his song. So the crowd started singing, oh. So Rollins ended up saying that it is a historic night because they'll see the first defense in what will undoubtedly become the greatest United States Championship run of all time. He ended up saying that he is going to wipe this mat with Matt Riddle's face in the main event later on in the night. So Rollins ended up saying that in doing so, he'll clear up a miscommunication. That was Extreme Rules. So Rollins ended up saying that he may have tapped out when Riddle had him in the triangle sleeper, but that was a strategic move. So Rollins ended up saying that he did that for them. He then went on to say that 2 days after Extreme Rules, he had to come to Monday Night Raw to beat Bobby Lashley to become the United States champion. So Rollins ended up saying that he did that for them. So then Mustafa Ali came out. Mustafa Ali interrupted Rollins. Mustafa Ali ended up congratulating Rollins sarcastically on becoming the United States champion. Mustafa Ali ended up saying that he was waiting for Rollins to give a shout out to Brock Lesnar for the assist. But since he's not mentioning it, then he won't either. Mustafa Ali ended up saying that the former United States champion Bobby Lashley promised him the next title match. So Mustafa Ali ended up getting, well, things change. So we got that. Mustafa Ali ended up getting that. So Mustafa Ali got into the ring. He ended up saying that his challenge still remains the same, and that he wants to fight Rollins for the United States Championship. So Rollins started cackling. He ended up asking if he looks like Bobby Lashley to Mustafa Ali. Rollins then ended up telling Mustafa Ali to get to the back of the line, and that he is focusing on Matt Riddle tonight. So he ended up saying to Mustafa Ali that he has two options, and that Mustafa Ali can party with all of them and celebrate him as the new champion, or he can skedaddle his way out of the ring because he doesn't belong in the ring with him. So Rollins ended up cackling in Mustafa Ali's face. Mustafa Ali then took Rollins' glasses off, and he threw Rollins' glasses. So Mustafa Ali ended up saying that, oh, he may be Seth frickin' Rollins, but he is his next frickin' problem. So Rollins ended up saying that he appreciates what Mustafa Ali is trying to do. Rollins ended up saying that he actually likes Mustafa Ali, and he respects him. He ended up calling Mustafa Ali one of the best performers that WWE has, but he's an even better human being. Rollins then continued to compliment Mustafa Ali, and then he went and sucker punched Mustafa Ali in the face. Rollins started punching away at Ali and threw him out of the ring. The crowd was booing loudly at Rollins. Rollins ended up going out to ringside. He ended up saying, "Problem solved." So Mustafa Ali then ended up attacking Rollins from behind. Rollins ended up quickly hitting Mustafa Ali in his throat, and he ended up throwing Mustafa Ali into the ring post. Mustafa Ali bounced off that ring post because he actually heard the smack of Mustafa Ali's body hitting the ring post. So Rollins ended up grabbing the United States Championship, and he stormed off, and that was pretty much basically that. Well, Mustafa Ali, he wants so bad to get a shot at the United States Championship, and it looks like we might see Seth Rollins versus Matt Riddle for the United States Championship. So that should be coming down the line. And then we had Io Sky and Dakota Kai versus Candice LeRae and Bianca Belair. This was a women's tag team match. Of course, Dakota Kai and Io Sky was accompanied by Bayley. And this was a solid women's match here. Candice LeRae started off the match with Io Sky. Io Sky ended up taking Candice LeRae down, started punching her, and they were striking away at each other. Candice LeRae ended up hitting some arm drags to Io Sky, ended up kicking Io Sky in her midsection. So Candice LeRae ended up going for a head scissors takedown, but Io Sky ended up landing on her feet. Candice LeRae ended up delivering a drop kick to Sky, and Bianca Belair tagged in. Bianca Belair ended up hitting a handspring standing moonsault to Io Sky, and she ended up going for the cover. Sky kicked out at 2. So Bianca ended up lifting Io Sky. Sky ended up sliding off of Bianca, and she tagged in Dakota Kai. Dakota Kai ended up hooking Bianca with a side headlock, and Bianca ended up whipping Dakota Kai and ended up shoulder tackling Dakota Kai. Bayley was on commentary during the match here. So she was on commentary with Corey Graves and Kevin Patrick, which we all know that WWE shook up the commentary teams for both Monday Night Raw and SmackDown, and also NXT. So on SmackDown, on commentary, we have Michael Cole and Wade Barrett. Wade Barrett was, of course, part of the NXT commentary team, and so he moved to SmackDown. Wade Barrett, good on commentary. we have Kelly Braxton and Megan Morant as the backstage interviewers for SmackDown. On Monday Night Raw, of course, we have Corey Graves and Kevin Patrick. When it was Corey Graves, Jimmy Smith, and Byron Saxton. Jimmy Smith ended up getting fired, and Byron Saxton is now a backstage interviewer. And after hearing Kevin Patrick on commentary tonight, since last week was his first night doing commentary for Monday Night Raw, after listening to him tonight, he's just not great so far on commentary. He lacks excitement. I mean, he could call the moves well, but he definitely needs improvement. And if he doesn't improve within the next few weeks or a month, then I'll just say he's just not good on commentary. And I would rather have Byron Saxton back on commentary, because Byron Saxton, when he was commentating with Corey Graves there, with them bickering back and forth, it was just funny and just very entertaining. You have Corey Graves going, "Shut up, Saxton," which, was very funny. So, and then you have Kathy Kelly. She ended up making her return to the company. It was good to see. It was good to see Kathy Kelly again. So, and then on NXT, we have Vic Joseph on commentary, along with Shucky Ducky Quack Quack, WWE Hall of Famer Booker T. So now on NXT, we're going to hear Booker T going, "Oh my goodness, yeah, Shucky Ducky Quack Quack." So there's your commentary team for NXT, Vic Joseph and Booker T. But Pat McAfee, he'll be coming back after the football season is over. So, but I'm wondering if Wade Barrett is just filling in for on SmackDown until Pat McAfee comes back, which is how I see it. So, but just had to touch up on that there, with the commentary teams being shaken up. So Dakota Kai ended up attacking Bianca. She ended up tagging Io Sky back in. Io Sky and Dakota Kai ended up double teaming on Bianca, delivered a double team suplex. But Bianca ended up laying on her feet and tagged in Candice LeRae. Bianca Belair ended up putting Candice LeRae on her shoulders, ended up swinging Candice to take out both Dakota Kai and Io Sky. Candice LeRae ended up hitting Io Sky with a baseball slide, and then Bianca ended up sending Dakota Kai out of the ring with a chicken wing throw. Candice LeRae then ended up hitting a springboard crossbody block onto both Io Sky and Dakota Kai on the floor. So later on, we had Bayley. Bayley ended up getting up from the commentary table. She grabbed a kendo stick. Bianca ended up grabbing Bayley by her hair, and they began brawling over the commentary table. And the referee ended up seeing this, and the referee didn't even call for the bell. So in the ring, we saw Io Sky. She ended up slamming Candice LeRae. Dakota Kai tagged in, and Io Sky and Dakota end up hitting a double team slam on Candice LeRae. And there you go. Dakota Kai and Io Sky, Damage Control, ended up winning the match. Overall, this was a solid women's tag team match here. So then we had Kathy Kelly. Kathy Kelly was interviewing Matt Riddle, and she was asking Matt Riddle about the comments that Seth Rollins made about Riddle. Riddle ended up telling Kathy Kelly that he's going to take Rollins down. And he ended up seeing Mustafa Ali. Matt Riddle ended up saying that Matt Riddle showed a lot of guts stepping up to Seth Rollins. And then we hear The Miz end up screaming, and The Miz was shown holding his knee. Miz ended up running down a janitor who left a puddle that he had just slipped in. So The Miz ended up saying that he torn his ACL and that he can't compete tonight against Dexter Lumis. So The Miz ended up telling Matt Riddle and Mustafa Ali to get a doctor. So pretty much that was basically that. And as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, we saw the Judgment Day. The Judgment Day was backstage. Cora Jade from NXT ended up walking up to the Judgment Day. Cora Jade ended up talking to Rhea Ripley. She ended up talking about having to face Raquel Rodriguez, Smiley Raquel, tomorrow night on NXT. So Cora Jade ended up asking Rhea Ripley if she'll face Roxanne Perez tomorrow night in the Pick Your Poison match. So Rhea Ripley ended up saying that she'll take Roxanne down for Cora Jade. So pretty much that was basically that. So we're going to see that tomorrow night on NXT, Rhea Ripley versus Roxanne Perez. But I'm not going to be checking out NXT tomorrow because AEW Dynamite is going to be on tomorrow night from Cincinnati. They're going to be on tomorrow night. They're not going to be on Wednesday because of baseball. So looking forward to Dynamite tomorrow night. And then we had Hall of Famer JBL. JBL ended up making his way down to the ring, got a huge ovation. It's good seeing JBL again on WWE television. JBL got on the mic. He ended up saying that it takes a monumentous occasion for the wrestling god to come out. And of course, JBL, he's a WWE Hall of Famer and also a wrestling god, as he would have said back in the day. So JBL ended up saying that he has a huge announcement, and he apologizes to the world for having to do it in Oklahoma City. So JBL started running down Oklahoma City, saying that he really despises this state and he despises everyone in the crowd. And this is how good JBL was as a heel back in the day. So JBL ended up saying that he has great news. Rey Mysterio has left Monday Night Raw, and that Dominik has finally figured out what we knew decades ago, that his deadbeat dad, Rey Mysterio, is one of the worst humans on the planet. He ended up saying that Rey wears a mask because he's ashamed of himself. And that void led to the greatest trade since the Bambino came to the Bronx. So JBL ended up saying that it's time for them to put their chubby hands together to welcome the newest addition to Monday Night Raw, Baron Corbin. So Baron Corbin came out. He still has his Happy Corbin theme music. So he came out, new wardrobe that he was wearing. JBL ended up telling the crowd to look at Corbin. JBL ended up saying that he wanted WWE to give some competition to Corbin. And they gave him a former world champion and Money in the Bank winner in Dolph Ziggler. So JBL ended up saying that Dolph is a show stealer, but all he's been doing is stealing money from WWE. He ended up saying that Ziggler would never have made the cut in the Attitude Era. He ended up saying most of the roster today wouldn't. They would have to buy a ticket to enjoy the show and watch stars like Corbin. So JBL ended up saying that Corbin is going to be the newest wrestling god. So then Dolph Ziggler then made his way out, and then we got the match. Dolph Ziggler versus Baron Corbin. And that was how this segment ended. But JBL, coming back on WWE television, bringing his old school heel gimmick from back in the day and just running down Oklahoma City. This proves and shows just how great JBL was back in the day as a heel. 2004 SmackDown had many great rivalries, and JBL, is one hell of a promo cutter. But JBL managing Corbin, this is not going to make me care or get behind Corbin. Corbin is just boring, in my opinion. And JBL saying, oh, Corbin's going to be the newest wrestling god. Are you serious? JBL, you are more of a wrestling god than Corbin. So we got the match, Baron Corbin versus Dolph Ziggler. That just describes what this match was. Yawn fest. So the match I'm starting, Corbin ended up immediately clotheslining Dolph out of the ring. JBL was on commentary during the match, which JBL on commentary was the only good thing about this match. The one thing that was missing from JBL being on commentary was, here we go, Michael! Michael! That was the only thing missing, was Michael Cole being on commentary with JBL. And him going, Michael! So Corbin ended up going to the outside. He ended up putting Dolph Ziggler back into the ring. Dolph ended up kicking Corbin twice, started punching away at him. Corbin bounced off the ropes and booted Ziggler down. Corbin ended up delivering a right hand to Dolph. JBL on commentary, he was calling Kevin Patrick, he was calling him Shamrock. He was thinking Kevin Patrick was Ken Shamrock on commentary. So Corbin then started punching Dolph down, started choking him with his boot. Corbin ended up hitting a back elbow to Dolph. He ended up going for the cover. Dolph kicked out. Dolph ended up fighting back, started punching away at Corbin in the corner. Corbin powered out, ended up throwing Dolph, but Dolph ended up landing on his feet. Dolph ended up elbowing Corbin back, ended up hitting a spike DDT. Dolph ended up going for the cover, and Corbin kicked out. Dolph continued to attack Corbin. He ended up raking his face on the ropes. Corbin ended up fighting back. He ended up dropping Dolph with a inverted vertical suplex. So Corbin then ended up hitting a out and clothesline to Dolph. So JBL was pleased with that clothesline delivered from Corbin to Dolph. So Dolph rolled out of the ring. Corbin followed him, and Corbin ended up sending Dolph into the ring steps. So at the end of the match, we had Corbin end up avoiding a super kick by Dolph, and then Corbin came back, ended up hitting the end of days on Dolph. He ended up going for the cover, and there you go. Corbin ended up winning the match. So JBL then got into the ring, celebrated with Corbin post-match, and that was that. But overall, this was a yawn fest. JBL managing Corbin, like I said, this is not going to make me care about Corbin or get behind him. I don't care. JBL managing him is not going to help Corbin. It's not. I'd be shocked if it does. So then we saw The Miz. The Miz was in the trainer's room. And The Miz wouldn't let his knee be touched. So Byron Saxton ended up coming up to The Miz. And he ended up asking Miz if he'll be able to face Dexter Lumis. Miz ended up saying that his knee is too hurt. And Byron Saxton ended up talking about how it appears that this was staged. So The Miz ended up saying that he is very injured. And someone off screen ended up saying, oh my God, it's Dexter Lumis. Miz ended up jumping up to his feet, showing his knee isn't injured. So Miz ended up faking the injury. So that person that shouted out, oh my God, it's Dexter Lumis, was Johnny Gargano. So he ended up saying that he thought Byron Saxton was Dexter Lumis. Gargano then laughed and walked off. So The Miz ended up saying that his superior DNA fixed his knee. And that tonight he's taking Loomis down. So pretty much that was basically that. This was just awful. So then as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, we had MVP backstage with Omos. MVP ended up saying that he's not here to disparage Braun Strowman. So MVP ended up putting over Braun Strowman's size and his resume. He was saying that Strowman's name strikes fear in the heart of ordinary men. MVP then wanted to say that Omos is not an ordinary man. And that him and Omos are going to SmackDown on Friday, where Omos will look down on Braun Strowman. He ended up saying that the Nigerian giant fears no one. Monsters aren't real, but giants are. And then we get Omos just pounding away like this. And that was that. This is setting up Omos versus Braun Strowman. I can't believe we're going to get this match. This match is going to be a fucking disaster. Calling it right now. We'll expect a ring collapse. Watch that happen. I don't care. I don't care about this with Omos and Braun Strowman. I said it's going to be a fucking disaster. So then we saw the OC. AJ Styles, Gallows, and Anderson backstage. Cameron Grimes from NXT end up walking up to them. So Cameron Grimes end up asking if they'll team with him tomorrow. So they end up agreeing with Cameron Grimes because they know that Cameron Grimes has a lot of cash. And Cameron Grimes, of course, goes to the moon. Yeah, so pretty much that was basically that little Cameron Grimes appearance tonight. And then we had AJ Styles versus Dominik Mysterio. And this was an okay match here. Just another match where wrestler is carrying Dominik through the match. Dominik he needs improvement. He needs improvement in the ring and improvement on the mic. We saw how Styles just carried Dominik throughout this match. So he started off, Styles ended up immediately attacking Dominik. He started punching away at him. He bounced Dominik off the turnbuckles. Styles ended up crushing Dominik with a backbreaker. Styles ended up hitting another backbreaker. He started punching away at Dom. Styles then went for a snap suplex. Dom then crawled to the ropes. Styles ended up chopping him and sent him into the ropes. So Dominik then delivered a kick to Styles. Styles responded with an overhead kick to Dom. Styles bounced Dom off the turnbuckle, started punching away at him in the corner. Dom ended up rolling out of the ring to recover himself. Styles followed Dom out and bounced him off the barricade. Styles ended up putting Dom back into the ring. He turns around to see Rhea Ripley end up approaching him. Rhea Ripley end up challenging Styles because we also had Gallows and Anderson also out there. And then, of course, Damian Priest and Balor. So Dominik then ended up taking out Styles with a springboard crossbody block to the floor. Dom ended up getting Styles in the ring, started punching away at him. Dom started choking Styles on the ropes before stomping away at him. So Dom ended up snapping Styles off the ropes, ended up hitting a slingshot plancha just like Eddie Guerrero. Styles ended up kicking out, ended up wiping out Dom with a strike. He did a strike combo. Styles ended up flooring Dom with a forearm plancha. And then he ended up throwing Dom into the timekeeper's area. So we had later on, Styles ended up punching Dom down, and he standed on the top rope. Balor quickly ended up getting on the apron to distract the ref. Rhea Ripley ended up jumping up, and she shoved Styles off the top rope, to which Dom took advantage of the distraction, started stomping away at Styles. We had Dom end up hitting the Three Amigos on AJ Styles, and he ended up going for the cover, and Styles ended up kicking out. So Styles ended up reversing a whip. He ended up clotheslining Dom down twice. Styles then ended up hitting a snap mirror and a sliding forearm to Dom. He ended up going for the cover, and Dom kicked out. So we had later on Styles ended up taking Dom down. He ended up applying the calf crusher. Dom ended up screaming in pain. He got to the bottom rope to break up the calf crusher. Styles ended up trying to pull Dom into the ring, but Balor ended up grabbing Dom, ended up pulling him out. And we had a stare down between the Judgment Day and the OC. Styles ended up attacking Dom, ended up putting him back into the ring. So then Rhea Ripley grabbed Styles' foot as he got into the ring. And that led to Dom rolling Styles up, and he ended up getting the win. So there you go. Dominik ended up winning the match. Overall, this was an okay match here, but Dom just needs improvement in the ring and also improvement on the mic. He needs to know how to cut a promo that's either decent or good. So then we had The Miz. He was warming up backstage. Johnny Gargano ended up coming up to The Miz. Gargano ended up telling Miz to tell the truth. Miz ended up saying to Gargano that the truth is he's been stalked by a lunatic, and he will get him banned after tonight. Miz ended up saying that when he's done with Loomis, he'll have a score to settle with Gargano. So Gargano ended up agreeing, and that was basically that. So then we had Dexter Lumis. Dexter Lumis ended up making his way out. The Miz ended up attacking him from behind with a chair. This was supposed to be The Miz versus Dexter Lumis. If Lumis ended up winning the match, he would earn a WWE contract. But the match didn't get underway. Like I said, The Miz ended up attacking Lumis from behind with a chair. Miz ended up beating him down with the chair, and he gave Lumis a skull-crushing finale on the stage. So pretty much that was basically that. Referees ended up coming out to check on Lumis. The Miz ended up walking off. So still, they're just prolonging this. It's like WWE does not know where to take this storyline with Miz and Lumis. 2 months already. Still no explanation as to why Dexter Lumis is going after The Miz. We need answers. Stop prolonging this. I do not care about any of this with Dexter Lumis and The Miz. 2 months already. And still, prolonging this, no explanation. And then we have Byron Saxton. Byron Saxton was backstage with Damage Control, with Bayley, Dakota Kai, and Io Sky. Byron Saxton ended up asking, what's next for them? Bayley ended up saying to Byron Saxton that he needs to appreciate the now. Where's Alexa Bliss? They got rid of her. Dakota Kai ended up asking where Asuka is. Io ended up saying that she's gone. Bayley ended up saying Raquel and Shotzi should be watching because they don't stand a chance on SmackDown. So she ended up saying Bianca didn't pin her at Extreme Rules. And that next week, she'll show Bianca what happens when she's in control. So pretty much that was basically that. So next week on Raw, it's going to be Bianca Belair versus Bayley. This is going to be a non-title match. The World Women's Championship isn't going to be on the line. So they're just going one-on-one. So then we saw The Miz was walking backstage. So Johnny Gargano ended up approaching The Miz. Gargano ended up telling The Miz that was a bad move because it won't stop Dexter Lumis. So Miz ended up asking what he's wearing. Gargano ended up saying that he's wearing a whistle. He ended up saying that if he doesn't come clean, then he will blow it at him. So that's what Gargano was telling the Miz. And that was basically that. So Johnny Gargano was just saying to the Miz about Dexter Lumis because, of course, Johnny Gargano, had an encounter with Dexter Lumis in NXT. When he was in The Way with his wife Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell and Austin Theory. So they encountered Dexter Lumis, down there. And then we had the return of Elias. Yeah, that is what I thought of this. Elias is back. He was standing in front of a keyboard, and there were two guitars in the ring. Elias ended up saying that he's here because his younger brother's career, of course, who was Ezekiel, was tragically cut short. And we all know that Ezekiel was Elias, just he had his beard shaved and he got a haircut, with short hair. So Elias ended up saying that the show must go on. So who wants to walk with Elias? Elias ended up saying that normally he'd come out and play the guitar, but he wanted to do something special for Oklahoma City. Elias ended up saying that he wants to play the keys. So he ended up asking the crowd to silence their cell phones. And then he got interrupted by Matt Riddle. This is the same formulaic gimmick. Elias is out there. He goes, "Hello, I'm Elias. Who wants to walk with Elias? I'm going to play, something." And then he gets interrupted. The same old formulaic thing with Elias. So Matt Riddle ended up coming out. He had bongos in hand. Riddle ended up getting on the mic. He ended up telling Elias that he's not here to interrupt him. He ended up saying that he's a huge fan of Elias. Riddle ended up saying that when Ezekiel was around, he gets so zeked up. So Riddle ended up getting the crowd to sing, "Oh, walk with Elias." Elias ended up saying that he appreciates his fans. He ended up asking Riddle to sit and watch the performance. Riddle ended up asking if they can play together one day. To which Elias ended up promising Riddle that one day they will play together. So Elias began to play the keyboard. We had Riddle just banging the bongos. And then he got interrupted by Seth Rollins. And pretty much that was basically how this segment ended. But Elias is back. Same old formulaic thing with him. "Hello, I'm Elias. Who wants to walk with Elias? Oh, I'm going to play my keyboard. I'll strum my guitar." And then gets interrupted by a wrestler that walks out. Same old. It was tiring at first. But it's the same thing. Nothing new. And I'm going to be honest with you all. I'd rather take Elias. I'd rather see Elias than when he was Ezekiel. So I'd rather see Elias than Ezekiel when, Elias was Ezekiel under Vince McMahon's old administration. But that Ezekiel character went absolutely nowhere. And every single week, matches with Kevin Owens. And Kevin Owens coming out there saying, "Oh, that's Elias. That's not Ezekiel. That's really Elias." It just got to the point where it got tiring and uninteresting. And we all thought that, oh, that's supposed to be funny. Awful. That was absolutely fucking awful. Main event. Matt Riddle versus Seth Rollins. United States Championship on the line. This was an entertaining, good match. When the match got underway, Riddle immediately went for the triangle choke to Rollins. Rollins quickly got to the ropes and pulled himself out of the ring. Elias was at ringside and Rollins was arguing with him. Rollins got into the ring to square off with Riddle, but Rollins quickly bailed out of the ring again. Rollins took his time on the outside before getting back into the ring. Riddle ended up attacking Rollins, started kicking away at him in the corner. Rollins rolled out of the ring again to recover. Riddle ended up following him out and attacked Rollins from behind. Riddle ended up getting Rollins back into the ring, and he delivered a gut-wrench suplex to Rollins. Rollins ended up hitting a throat thrust to Riddle, started stomping away at him. Rollins ended up whipping Riddle into the corner twice. Rollins ended up kicking Riddle and delivered a vertical suplex, to which he went for the cover, and Riddle ended up kicking out at 2. So Rollins started chopping away at Riddle's chest. He was talking some trash to him. Riddle quickly ended up pulling Rollins out of the ring, and he ended up teasing a springboard floating bro, but Rollins ended up moving. Elias and Rollins were arguing at ringside. Rollins shoved Elias, and Elias ended up coming back, and he delivered a knee to Rollins' face while the referee was distracted, tending to Riddle. And so, as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, we had Rollins end up kneeing Riddle in the face. He ended up going for the cover. Riddle ended up kicking out. Riddle ended up blocking a kick from Rollins, and he ended up delivering an overhead kick. Riddle then ended up hitting a running elbow and a forearm to Rollins. And then he went for the exploder. Riddle ended up going for the Broton, but Rollins ended up getting his knees up. Riddle then elbowed Rollins back. He ended up climbing the ropes for the floating bro, and he hit it on Rollins. And Riddle ended up going for the cover. Rollins ended up kicking out. So there was a point where Elias ended up approaching Rollins. Rollins ended up telling Elias to hit him. And Elias wouldn't hit him because the referee was, there. He was watching. Rollins then delivered a super kick to Elias. He super kicked Elias down. Riddle ended up attacking Rollins, ended up getting him in the ring. Riddle ended up hitting a snap power slam to Rollins. He ended up then hitting the draping DDT, just like Randy Orton. Riddle then set up for the RKO. Riddle ended up going for the RKO as Elias ended up getting into the ring. Rollins countered and he threw Riddle into Elias. Rollins then followed up with a stomp to Riddle, and so Rollins ended up going for the cover. And there you go. Seth Rollins won the match, retaining the United States Championship. Post-match, Rollins then hit the stomp to Elias. He stood tall in the ring with the United States Championship. He ended up putting the title under Riddle's face. Rollins then ended up going to give Riddle a stomp on the United States Championship, but Mustafa Ali cut Rollins off. Mustafa Ali ended up knocking Rollins out of the ring, and he ended up hitting a crazy suicide dive, which sent Rollins over the commentary table. So Mustafa Ali then clotheslined Rollins over the barricade. Rollins ran off, and Mustafa Ali was shouting, "Oh, this is my problem now. This is my problem." And pretty much that was basically how Monday Night Raw ended, with Rollins in the crowd. But overall, very good match it was with Seth Rollins and Matt Riddle for the United States Championship. Very entertaining. And Mustafa Ali, it looks like Mustafa Ali is going to be next in line to face Rollins for the United States Championship. Overall, very good Monday Night Raw this was. Though it wasn't as, good as last week's show, which was, awesome. In my opinion, it was one of the best Raws I attended last week, being there for the season premiere of Raw at Barclays. But overall, still, Monday Night Raw was a good show tonight. But anyways, that's it for the Monday Night Raw review. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this review. Give the video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, and I will see you all tomorrow night for AEW Dynamite.